Namaste, I'm Masha, welcome to my channel. And as you would have seen from the description of this video, I'm coming to you today to share with you my Dodal decks, the reproduction of the Dodal decks that I'm so grateful and honored to have in my possession. I love all of them. And I must say, and you probably would know if you have watched some of my videos here mentioning Tarot de Marseille or interacted with me on the social media, that Dodal Tarot de Marseille would be at the very top of my Marseille dream, of my Tarot de Marseille. And now that I'm talking, I began this video, I actually had an idea popping into my mind, and I'm going to do that. So this video marks my little series, my mini series, which how can we call them? Okay, what's an idea? We're going to call the series Geeking Out on Marseille, Geeking Out of Marseille, and that will be the first episode, because now as I began this video, I had kind of a few ideas popping into my mind on a few more videos I would like to make on Tarot de Marseille. At the beginning of this year, I did set an intention to study Tarot de Marseille, and I'm now totally obsessed, and I do not see it going anywhere, and I'm only such a beginner, and I have so much to learn, and I have so much practice to do. So I think that will be quite exciting to do little mini series on Geeking Out on Marseille. But in this video, I will be showing you 4 decks, 4 reproductions of Dodal Tarot de Marseille, quite an old deck dating 1701. I actually do have 5.5, if you have to count all of them, Dodal decks, and the 4 of them, of course, I'm going to mention. I have a double copy of Pablo Robledo's, the newest 2019 edition of reproduction of Dodal Tarot de Marseille, and I also have a little mini probably I'll mention mini to you now. And this mini deck is from the Cartomancer Big Cartel website, reproduced by Lauren Forestell. And this one is just the majors only, but it's just a little mini that I have and I absolutely love. I mean, I'm not going to show you all the cards because it's just the mini and I have a bigger version of this deck, but I just wanted to mention you my little half deck. But let's dive in and have a look at the decks that we will be talking about, and also to make this video a little manageable in length and time, not to make it too long. I will only be doing side by side the majors of those 4 decks. So and I thought, yeah, okay, well, we're gonna go from the dates I received them, like the earliest deck that I had and the latest one. So I will be showing you today the majors of Dodal Tarot de Marseille, reproduced by Claude Flornoy, who now passed away sadly quite a few years back, but it's a beautiful, beautiful deck. And I will link in the description of this video. I will link where you can get those decks. One of them is kind of tricky to get, but the other 3 are widely available. So this one is still quite available from France. That's where I got it from. But again, as I mentioned, I will link the website below. It comes in this box. So Dodal Tarot de Marseille by Claude Flornoy. That was the first Dodal deck that I had. The second one that I had, and that's a beauty, it's Dodali. Where can you see it? So we'll just show you this one. And here, Dodali Tarot de Marseille, and by Sullivan, recreated by Sullivan Hismans from Tarot Shit Revival. Sullivan is such a wonderful person, and while I'm on it, because we're not going to go into minors, you know, like you see Dodal Tarot de Marseille, and this one is Dodali, and I'm guessing that Sullivan decided to stick with, and this little card is from my little mini. You can see the 2 of coins. have other cards minus that have the Jean Dodal deck in two of coins, Jean Dodali, so you can see Jean Dodali, Jean Dodal Cartier, the card maker of Lyon, of course, hence the name of the deck. Put Jean Dodali on this card, so I thought, well, my guess is Sullivan made that choice to call his deck Jean Dodali Tarot, opposed to just Jean Dodal that's mentioned on I believe two of cups would have that mention in just Jean Dodal. Yeah, so this one is a beautiful, beautiful deck. The third deck I received, it was the Facsimile deck, Jean Dodal Tarot de Marseille, and this one is produced by Lauren Forestell, who I mentioned from the Cartomancer, who made the mini as well. But when I saw the mini, I love reading with the mages and having that little mini. And if you want me to do the video on the mini, it's another story. I'm happily to do that, but not in this one. But yeah, that's the same creator, and this is the Facsimile edition that I received recently. So, and my latest one and my big love too is Tarot Dodal, Jean Dodal. Oh, I in Tarot de Marseille, Jean Dodal edition Tarot de Marseille, I stands for J, but Jean Dodal Tarot de Marseille, reproduced by our favorite, our beautiful person in the community, Pablo Robledo, of course. And I have two copies of this deck, number 2 and number 22. I do have the full walkthrough of the Dodali deck by Sullivan Hismans, and the coloration will vary because mine are a little bit pinkier, and mine is just the first run out of 3 copies, and I believe only 2 existing, mine and the other person in the community. I'm not sure if I can mention her name, but she has one, and the third one, Sullivan did mention that something happened, that kind of the copy, he may have destroyed it, like unintentionally. Yeah, just spoiled the deck. Anyway, so that's the ones. So there will be the 4 decks that we will be having a look at. But before I flip the camera and show you the cards of the major arcana, I just wanted to mention that my envelope looks a little bit different because I got mine in March. Well, this edition is March this year, and limited edition of the Dodali by Sullivan Hismans was released a little bit later in the year. So my envelope, this paper wrapping, is hand colored, and the ones, if you go on his website, I mean, you can get the hand painted copy, which is like, I mean, that would be a dream for me to have, but it's rather expensive, so I can't really afford to have that one. But limited edition, I think it goes at around 75 euros, and the envelope will have 4 colors, and it will be hand stenciled opposed from hand painted. And my cards, the cards I will show you, may look a little bit pinkier, which Sullivan muted down now, from what I know, for that limited edition, which I actually think I will be getting a backup. I do need a backup for this one as well, along with the Pablo Robledos that I already have. But we know, when you even look at well, yeah, Flornoy is probably the most affordable one. It's a beautiful, beautiful deck, you will see in a moment. But Jean Dodal Tarot de Marseille dates 1701, and Jean Dodal was Cartier, the card maker of Lyon, in the early 1700s. So we're kind of looking at the history, we're looking around like 1701 to 1715. But also what I wanted to mention, I mean, this deck is so affordable and the quality is stunning, but also it comes with a little booklet, but the booklet is actually quite amazing, and I pulled out, I've learned a lot about Jean Dodal and the deck itself. So it looks like Jean Dodal Jean Dodal was the card maker, Cartier, right? But he did use, he did invite an engraver named Jacques Mermet. It's Merme. I don't know if it's Googleable at all. I just kind of pulled out the information from here. But Jean Dodal himself, the card maker, called upon the master engraver Jacques Mermet to produce that the original wood blocky Jean Dodal deck, and of course this information is based according to Jean-Claude Flornoy, who reproduced this beautiful deck. And what we know, what I have learned about Jacques Mermet, that he was an engraver, and he was the one that was still aware of the inner meanings of tarot, based, I mean, just quoting this book, right? So you can see it's all highlighted here. He probably would have been the last of the engravers who not just were producing the cards or redrawing the cards, but who were aware of the inner meaning of the tarot. And I guess that's probably, for me, Jean Dodal Tarot de Marseille, just so close to my heart. And I see it's 11 minutes already and I haven't showed you any cards, but I'm just very excited. And this deck, as I mentioned, Dodal Tarot is so close to my heart. That's why I'm just so excited to share with you the reproductions that are available, and the beautiful reproductions that are available. So yeah, let's turn the camera around and focus on no, before I go, I just gotta show you the wrappings. Okay, yeah, one more minute. I showed you these ones come in boxes, and yeah, so the Facsimile edition, the box is very flimsy. The box that kind of make your playing cards website type of style box, right? And yeah, so that's the box it came in, and that's one is the Facsimile by Lauren Forestell. Sullivan's, of course, I have that beautiful one, and he did stick with the tradition that in the 18th century it's believed that those our tarot decks, they did come in paper envelopes, and this one is just stunning. It's a work of art. I wrapped it back just to show you, and I still haven't got the frame, but I am going to frame this one, like, really. But yeah, that's the wrapping paper. The one that you can get online, and I'm excited actually when I will be getting my second copy, it actually would have four colors, apart from, I guess I have 3 here, coloration. But I just love the lion and the unicorn. Isn't it like just that work of art itself in that wrapping paper? And then the Pablo Robledo's one, that's my number 2. Already. So that's the one, and I would believe it would be like a blog that Pablo created. So he kind of stamped the original production, right, wood blocky style, the block, and then he would just add some coloration that some of us will have quite different one. One of the people who commented on my channel when I did, and actually you can see the walkthrough of Pablo Robledo's Dodali. The lighting wasn't that great, but I just was so excited to share, and I will link my unboxing of this deck. But one of the community members, he mentioned that his one has like green, I believe green, maybe red or pink coloration. Mine is just predominantly yellow. So that's the wrapping paper it came in, and Jean-Claude Flornoy just came in that box. It's a kind of nice box. It's a really nice box, good quality paper. So yeah, let's turn the camera around and let's finally have a look at those beautiful cards of my favorite Marseille Jean Dodal Tarot de Marseille reproductions, and we'll have a look at 4 of them right now. So we're going to have a look at those cards in the order I received them, I purchased them. So the first one is Jean Dodal Tarot by Jean-Claude Flornoy. And yeah, this one came with this beautiful book. It's only a tiny one, and half of it, I just put a marker here, half of it is in French, which I don't read, and half of it is in English, written by Jean-Claude Flornoy. But I would believe probably was translated by Roxanne Flornoy, who you deal with when you kind of purchase from this website, and I will link the links, don't worry about them now. But yeah, so it's only 25 pages of information, but it's really good little booklet. It's got the preface by Enrique Enriquez, and it includes that wonderful poem. I love this one. Yeah, right. Forget what is red and notice what is red. Stand on a number as you would on a hill. Strip down to your armor. For what turns gold into lead also turns salt into sugar. What one step fulfills another could encumber, and what you wear wears you down. It's just, I mean, Enrique, he's just so clever. Even like when you look at the suits, and this video is only about the mages, but duel with the sword, build with the wand, offer a cup, plant a coin, let the hands show your intention. It's just a really wonderful little booklet. And again, as I mentioned, out of all those decks, this one is the most affordable, and I don't quite remember the pricing, but it was under 30 euros, so it's like 25-28 euro on that website, plus delivery from France, which is actually was very reasonable to Australia. So yeah, so that's the Jean Dodal reproduction by Jean-Claude Flornoy. The second one is my Dodal Tarot de Marseille by Sullivan Hismans of Tarot Sheet Revival. And I trust that one probably would be the most accurate redrawn reproduction of Tarot de Marseille. Again, the styles of the reproductions are quite different, and I will mention them a little bit later. But this one came with that little card, as you can see. They are the backs. I'll show you the backs of other cards anyway. But yeah, so mine, number 3 is actually Sullivan did mention in his email to me that that's the March 2019 when this one out of 3 first run copies, limited edition copies was made. And again, this card is already the same card stock. This one is more papery, and I would trust that probably would be the hand painted edition that he would produce. But this one is a little, I guess, more durable and kind of more textured type of paper. So that's the second one, that's the second copy I received, and as you can see already from the Magician card, mine is on the pinkish side, but hey, I can never say no to pink, I love pink. And this one is the Facsimile edition by Lauren Forestell. So again, it's a Facsimile, it's just pretty much a straightforward copy, and I trust it's the second edition that Lauren produced, and it's it has the colors a little bit enhanced and brightened, but otherwise it pretty much sticks with Facsimile, just a printer Facsimile copy of Dodal Tarot de Marseille. I'm not yeah, I probably should mention here as well that there are only 2 known remaining copies of original Dodal decks available, and one of them is kept in the National Library of France in Paris, and the other one in the British Museum of London. So I'm not sure which Facsimile is that, which copy exactly that Lauren used to reproduce, whether it's the one in London Museum, British Museum of London, or the National Library in France. But it had that little extra card again with the backing of the deck that she created. And then we go, the 4th copy that I have is the Pablo Robledo's Dodal Tarot de Marseille 2019 edition, my big treasure. And yeah, so that's the his signature card that we get. And I did round the corners of mine. Actually, I should mention I did round the corners of the Sullivan Hismans Dodali, because this one and this one, they came originally with the sharper corners. And then I have this card, and that's my treasure because it's kind of got my name signed to it, and that's 2 out of 90 decks that Pablo Robledo recreated. Just have a look. And it just reminds me that I need to I did sort them out, so just give me a, yeah, that's it. I can remove the minors So we only have a look at the majors. So yeah, already you can see quite a big difference, right, in the cards. So that's the Magician with Jean-Claude Flornoy. As you can see, he made the cards very clean. He just cleaned them out. He recolored them, and that's what we see. When Sullivan, he did redraw the cards. This one is just a copy of one of the decks, so Facsimile reproduction. And then we have Pablo Robledo. So yeah, let's have a look. Moving to the Le Penses, which is our Le Papes, right? The High Priestess card. So you can see they rather look quite different, right? So when we look at Sullivan's, also I probably need to mention, and if I just show you, I don't know if you feel some of the cards, they almost have that texture feeling. So that's the process that he went through when recreating this deck, and the way he approached it, and I'm just going to read it from his website. He was saying that to redraw the tarot of Jean Dodal, I referred to the only 2 extant copies of the iconic tarot, as I mentioned, preserved in the National Library of France and British Museum in London. My approach to tarot restoration is always to preserve as faithfully as possible the character of the original woodcuts. In my redrawing, so he did do the redrawing of the cards, and I'll just keep moving so I don't take too much of your time. As I mentioned, so he did use the redrawing, and in his redrawing he made the most of high definition scans that he managed to get from those libraries, and he did combine the coloring and digital art in order to reconstruct the traditional methods in recoloring. So there we have it, and especially in here you can probably even see, because you can really feel the texture, and that's what I love about the Dodali reproduction by Sullivan. And yeah, so the Emperor cards, when we remember, I mentioned that Jean Dodal, based on the creator of Flornoy edition of Jean Dodal, so based on what Jacques-Claude Flornoy wrote, that Jacques Mermet was the engraver of this particular deck, and he was the master engraver, really, and to mark his mastery, to mark his mastery, he did create that kind of floating number 4 next to the Emperor, right? So yeah, so we have that inscription of number 4 in our Emperor card, and quoting Jean-Claude Flornoy, the creator of this particular version, when he talks about Jacques Mermet, the engraver of this deck, he mentions that all master engravers during the second half of the 17th century were instructed in the inner meaning of the tarot, and Jacques Mermet is the last representative. And that's the information from that little booklet that comes with this edition of the deck. So that's what we have here. So just let's have a look at the Le Papé, our Hierophant card. I do have a full flip through, as I mentioned, of the Pablo Robledo's version as well, and I love the eye expression in Jean Dodal Tarot de Marseille. It's everything to me. We have the Lovers with blindfolded Cupid. I love those cards. So we have the Chariot, but in Dodal, I love also the letters in Dodal. It's just another story, right? So we don't have a Chariot, we have Le, Cherry, or I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's just different spelling. And horses, and the eyes of the horses like horses in Dodal are the best horses. So we're moving to our Justice cards. So again, like you've been watching, I'm not commenting much on that. You can see the coloration is rather different, right? The selection of the color. I mean, I love all of them. So that's the direct copyright Facsimile, and that's the closest reproduction or reconstitution of the deck by Sullivan Hismans. That's the cleaned out version, and that's the Pablo Robledo's version. Yeah, I will show you the difference in the card sizes just once I get to the end of the video. But yeah, so when we look at Pablo Robledo's cards, the restoration work, the restoration of Dodal Tarot, when Pablo did it consistent on working on each card. And what Pablo did is his process was, when Sullivan did redrawing, Pablo Robledo completely removed the colors, or what he says, like you could see it as painting them white on top. So he kind of completely whited the coloration of the cards until, according to Pablo Robledo himself, the lines were completely naked, what he calls naked. So he kind of wiped it all out, probably from my understanding, with a little bit of line available, so he can put the line work back. And he did that because, from what I trust, from my understanding, because the lines had color in them. So as you can see here, the lines are, so you can see the kind of the shapes, but some of the lines are not very clear. And because in Pablo restoration, the lines of the original one had color in them, they were not clearly defined. So he whited everything out, and then he painted those lines again in black color. And you can see, if you follow his albums on the process of Dodal recreation, you will find more information on that. But as I myself, so I'll just go to another card. So we have, again, different in coloration, right? So you can see the Facsimile and the Sullivans are very, very close in coloration, but it's just more, his redrawing is sharper and just easier to see, when this coloration of the Jean-Claude Flornoy and Pablo Robledo's are rather different. But I love this dark turquoise though, like one of my favorite colors. Anyway, so yeah, Pablo Robledo's one, so talking about this one a little bit more now. So as I researched his process, I found out that he actually dedicated around 27 hours for each card. So if you look at 8-hour working day, so he spent like good 3+ days on working on each card in his deck for his first edition. And his first edition, I trust, was in 2010 or 2011. So we're moving into the Wheel of Fortune. And after the first edition, of course, he researched more, he learned more, and in the later work, and especially with this 2019 version of the beautiful, beautiful Dodal, as you can see, Pablo continued what he calls hurting the lines, and by that, well, let's have a look at another card. So we'll move on. Maybe we'll see the hurting of the line, and this one a little more. Oh yeah, a little bit. So you can see like little spaces that he began to leave in the cards, that what he I guess calls hurting the lines, which is refining the line work so it looked closer to the original. Because if you look at the, and I guess Lauren, she actually doesn't have the breaks much. No, we don't have many breaks there. We see more breaks, like going back to the Hierophant cards. You can see in Pablo Robledo's version, you can see little breaks in the lines, and the reason why he was doing that is just because if you think about wood, right? So it's kind of it's imperfect, and wood cuts would have that kind of natural wood breaks and discrepancies in the lines that Pablo, by again, like you can see in the Hangman Lapenduf, you can see those breakages in the lines. Yeah, so he tried to recreate, so the cards really would resemble the original wood blocks. And yeah, so then Pablo hand painted the cards with brushes and stencils, so he did use mixed media to for his artwork to recreate his version of the Dodal Tarot de Marseille. Yeah, so we have the Hangman. It's another card that's kind of worth talking, because I myself too kind of thought that, like, for some reason number 12, right, you can see it's like 2 and 10, what's supposed to be the other way, was reversed. But I did read on Sullivan's website that it wasn't the case. And let's just have a look. If we flip the cards this way, so you can see number 12, if it goes to the bottom, it becomes that number 12 that we would expect, right? So no mistake here. But then we see the Lapendif, the name of this card, the Hangman, is reversed. But based on Sullivan's research, Sullivan's, and again I'm quoting what I saw on his website, that it's absolutely certain that on the original mold the card name was engraved upside down and not the Roman numerals. So the numerals were correct, but there was a mistake with that engraving of the name of the card upside down, which is interesting that this kind of card was produced this way. So hands, I think, yep, that's, I'm even more convinced about that little idea of mine to start geeking out on Tarot de Marseille. And I'm in no way any experienced person, any professional, any scholar on that, but I'm just a curious enthusiast who would just love to learn more about Marseille Tarot. So again, with Sullivan's copy, you can see my version is way pinkier, but I love this way. But I will be getting a backup as well, hopefully very soon, and hopefully they're still available. So the original one, you can see it's quite the copy is quite damaged, but I love having it as well. We have the Temperance. I trust the Temperance is actually bare-breasted, so it's not a brown Temperance. That's another unique feature of our Dodal Tarot de Marseille. But they're all beautiful, right? Like, I'm saying both because I think I do favor those two, right? The Sullivans and the Pablos, but they are all just stunning. We have the Devil card. And our devil had that, the eyes in the stomach, the eyes in the knees. In Dodal deck, as we can see, the flames are going upwards. The House of God, La Maison Dief, but the Tower card. We have the Pregnant Star card. We have like one larger star and 7 stars, which I love. I love number 7. but you can see the coloration is very different. So we have more like kind of nude color, right, to pinks. But again, mine is way pinkier, and you can contact Sullivan. He is just such a wonderful person, and if you're interested in getting his deck, he will guide you through like his reasoning behind the coloration. And I love that mine is a little pinkier. And then we have again, but these colors have been enhanced as well a little bit, and by Lauren Forestell, as I mentioned, that they've been a little brightened and enhanced in this edition. And then we have the Pablo Robledo ones, so you can see the it's sharp, but this greens are quite different. And yeah, let's well, we see the face forward facing moon cards. The Le Soleil, the sun. And then we're moving to our judgment. I did mention it, I think, on the flip through of this deck of Pablo Robledo's Dodal, that and I like another thing, I really love play with the letters and words, that you can see that in Dodal version, Le Judgment, so your I stands for J and V is for U, which is just a unique detail for the Dodal version. We have the world, and again you can see that in Dodal version is kind of a leaf covering the hips of the person depicted here, opposed to that kind of the I don't know, like a shawly scarfy thing that's out of the words now, that's depicted in some other versions of our Marseille decks. And then we have the last card here, and that's Le Fool, or the Fool. Once again, in this deck, particularly, normally we see Le Mat, and this one is as Le Fool. And pardon my pronunciation, I don't speak French. Yeah, so that's the last card. So let's have a look now at the sizes of those cards. So the biggest one is Jean-Claude Flornoy, Tarot de Marseille. There are the backs, just to show you. The cards have that kind of soft buttery feel. They're quite thick. But this one is Sullivan Hismans, Dodal Tarot, and the cardstock is beautiful. So as you can probably, if you look, it has some layering, it has some texture to the cards, and I absolutely love it. Like some lines you can feel with your finger, which is just stunning. So there are the backs. Maybe flip it. And Lauren Forestell's Facsimile copy, it's the cardstock is quite linen-y, but it's not a thick, but it's quite flexible and durable. And there are the backs. Like they kind of seems to be quite big. They're enlarged little triangles. And Pablo Robledo, it's like silky matte, almost reminds you like rose petals, right? And there are the backs. So as you can see, the Facsimile and Pablo Robledo's one, they are a little bit more like cream nude colored, when the other ones are a little bit on a whitish side. And having a look at Jean-Claude Flornoy, that's the size of it. And if I put the Sullivan's card in, you can see it's rather smaller. So if you don't see it because of that similar pattern, so that's the size difference. And then we have the Facsimile reproduction by Lauren Forestell, and the corners are a little bit round. So as I mentioned, I did round the corners of the Sullivan's Dodali as well. But yeah, so if you put Lauren Forestell one, it's kind of the same width as Dodali. Oh no, a little bit. So if you look at Dodali, so it's just tiny little bit wider, but also little bit shorter than the Dodali card. And the smallest one is the 2019 edition of Pablo Robledo, but I have small hands and this cardstock feels amazing. So as I mentioned, it does feel like rose petals, but it kind of has that matte, like kind of silky, nice finish, a kind of matty finish, and that's the smallest one. I did do the measurement when I did the unboxing of Sullivan's and Pablo, so if you want to have a look, I'll have the links below for you available. So that's how it measures against the Facsimile. That's how it measures against Dodali by Sullivan. So it's a little bit narrower and it's a good centimeter plus shorter. And if you do own the Claude Flornoy Dodal, that's significant. It's the size, you can see, is quite significant. And as I mentioned earlier, those well, there are 2 known remaining copies of Dodal Tarot available in the world, and one is kept in the British Museum in London, and the other one is the Bibliothèque Nationale in France, in Paris, the National Library of France. So if you live in either of those countries, or if you visited those the library in France or the museum in England, I'm so curious to know also if you have seen the deck available on display, because I am planning to go to England next year, and at the end of July, hopefully, to make it for a tarot meetup. And I'm like now super excited to go to the British Museum and hopefully to be able to see Jean Dodal deck with my own eyes. I mean, holding it, of course, it probably will be pushing it too much, but I'm so hopeful that I will be able to see the original with my own eyes. And the video has turned out to be a little longer than I expected, and that was only majors. But if you have enjoyed it, and if you would like for me to do the same video on showing you minor side by side, and I can't call it comparison because the way the decks were recreated was very different, right? So wiping out or redrawing or cleaning out or just facsimile printing. So I can't really say that I have compared those decks, and you can't in any way, because they were created in their own unique way, and all 4 of them are absolutely stunning and beautiful. And as I mentioned, I do have a mini as well, that little mini of that Lauren Forestell made of the majors, which I really like. And the cardstock of this one is a little bit different. It's more like vexy, but it's rather, actually, it's much thinner. If you have Yves Renault's decks, you know, the creator, the card master who reproduced Tarot Madeni, so it's quite similar, but it's thinner, so it's kind of similar as it feels, but again, they're just tiny little cards only. And yeah, so please let me know if you would like me to do the similar video to show you the minors, if you're interested to geek out more on Dodal Tarot de Marseille. And also please let me know if you own any of the copies, or if you don't, if you have had a look at those and which one kind of caught your eye. I will certainly be ordering the second copy of Dodali, and I don't have a good back for it, but I'm so fortunate and honored that our own Kelly Bear will be making a beautiful pouch for me for my Dodali, and she will be making one for my newest love, my Pablo Robledo's Dodal Tarot de Marseille. That's the backs. My Jean Dodal by Flornoy, and I don't usually, I'm really not into leather, and I try to minimize it, but with this one I just had to have that pouch that it came with from that website that I'm going to put a link on. And for now, the Facsimile edition, I'm just keeping in that box that it came. Probably have to glue it because the box is not that sturdy. Yeah, so I hope so much that you enjoyed this little side by side. For me, it was very interesting for myself to explore those cards side by side and connect with those cards even more with my favorite Marseille Marseille deck, Jean Dodal, for different reproductions. But yeah, as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm very excited now that that idea of the little Marseille series named Geeking Out on Marseille came to my mind. So I will be making more videos on Tarot de Marseille. And please, if you have any information and if something that kind of I misinterpreted based on my research, please post it in the comments below. Let's have a chat. That's the idea of the series, Geeking Out on Marseille, so we can all geek out and share what we've learned, because the creators, especially, I mean, I can't really talk about Claude Flornoy. He passed away and I wish I could have spoken to him, and Lauren, she's lovely, but it's a Facsimile edition. But I did have quite extensive conversations and emails and messages from Sullivan, Hismans, and Pablo, Robledo, and they're just beautiful. They're just not like genius masters and recreating those stunning cards for us. They're genuinely lovely people who are so passionate about tarot and their work, and us receiving that educating us tarot enthusiasts and readers. Okay, so I'm going to end it here. Thank you so very much for watching. Namaste.